faith, love, openness, willingness. The Awake Shop by Rev Skip. Inspiration you can wear. Hats, mugs, hoodies, and tees. Visit theawakeshop.org today. Faith, love, openness, willingness. You're in the flow with Rev Skip. Hey everyone, it's your boy Rev Skip, and you are in the flow. And when you are in the flow, you have faith that a transformation can happen. You love yourself through each and every step, and we are open and willing to have a new experience so the transformation can happen. I welcome you into the spiritual zone right here on the New Thought Media Network. And if this is your first time, we invite you to like the podcasts here on Facebook Live or on the audio, and share the love. That's how we get to expand our audience. You're a part of this movement right here at the New Thought Media Network. Yes, love this. Love what I get to do on a Friday. And today I'm extra excited because I have a special guest co-host. My friend, my brother, Chad Bradford. Come in, brother. Come on into the zone.
Hey, Skip. Thanks so much. I'm excited to be here.
And first of all, I got to say, I apologize because I sent out the first notice with Chad Bradford.
Yes.
Your name is not Chad Bradford, it's Chad Bradford.
That's okay. I honestly didn't even notice it at first. I was just so excited. I just started sharing it without even, reviewing it.
It was Diego that actually caught it, and he texted me going, there's a typo there. You put Chad Bradford. And so let's bring Diego into the mix of this because thank you, brother.
I knew you were going to get me involved in this somehow.
You do. It's a great segue to bring you into the conversation.
But don't feel bad about making a typo there, Rev, because I did the exact same thing. I just misread. I automatically, when I saw the post, I thought it was Sue was the name of our other guest.
No.
So I put Sue down there.
Okay.
Then this morning I was doing the promos and everything. Oh, her name's Sam. It's not Sue at all.
Here's the thing about what we do. It truly takes a village. And I remember there were times that I was trying to do everything on my own. I was running my previous podcast. I was doing all my clients and doing everything. And finally, the Spirit said, you need some help here. So reach out, pray for help. And guess who came along? Well, Diego came along and the New Thought Media Network. And now I get to do this, collab.
Let's do some co-creating.
And now I get to do it with my brother Chad, which I have loved and admired since the beginning of the pandemic, a year. We've been getting to know each other for a year.
And this is going to be kind of a regular thing, right?
Yes, we're going to do a once a month gathering where my brother Chad will come in and we'll do a co-host. And our focus is going to be around creativity and spirituality, how it meets. Chad is a very, I would say, I think, incredible actor. Yet I have yet to see your Lifetime movie that's come out yet, where you're playing a cult leader.
Yeah. You know, you got to play both ends of the piano.
Yes,
right?
you do.
It's the light and the dark.
Yes, you do. It's exciting. I love collaboration. Diego, what about you? Like collaboration?
Oh, that's why I'm here. I love it. And just so you know, Chad, that this is a warm up. Because we're going to be getting you to do your own show here pretty soon.
Oh, there we go. We've talked about that too. I like that. I love how you recruit my brother, my brother Diego. Thank you so much for allowing me to be Rev Skip and just to support. And if you're listening to the podcast for the first time and you're viewing this on Facebook Live, understand that we work in tandem together. So it's all week long. We're preparing to do this show. And I just want to thank you, my brother, for being here and being who you are. And thank you for allowing me to be Rev Skip.
Oh, I want to thank you for being.
Cool.
That's it.
Thank you for being.
What
else do you need to say? Thank you for being.
That's it.
And thank you. So we'll talk to you later.
Okay,
Mr.
you guys
Diego.
got a show to do.
We got a show to do. Yes, we do. Hey, so how have you been, man? How have you been this week?
I'm doing well. You know, it's transitioning right now. I think as we're all coming out of, you know, what was the Great Reset, and now we're dealing with some new challenges, right?
Right.
But I feel like from the work that that you and I have done together, and all of the kind of the spiritual kind of work that we do, that we're in a different place now than when it first happened.
Yeah. But my question to you is, do you believe that we're really done with this? Because we have all these variances that are starting to rise up,
right? And
where we were approaching to move out of this kind of isolation, some people are moving to be back in. What is your take on this that's happening right now?
Right. In watching everything unfold over the past year, I know that I've had to go into kind of a spiritual hibernation, figuring out what's really important to me.
Yes.
I haven't been able to extend myself and shine a light in the way that I would like to. And what that does, it kind of shines the light inward. And you have to deal with things that are in the corners and crevices of your soul that you haven't really looked at yet. Yeah. And so it's been a tremendous growth period. I feel like there was like this golden hour of about like 3 weeks or so during the summer where we thought, here we are. And then it's as if we've been shot out of a cannon. There's 1,000 projects. We're rushing around. We're doing everything. And for me, all of these new variants are saying, hey, look, there's still work to do. There's still inner work to do. There's still work to do in the world. We can't go back to before.
And don't you feel that there could be this idea of rushing into trying to regain the life that we once had? And I'm always saying there is no regaining that life. That life is gone.
Right. Right. I've always loved the way that you've talked about it. You know, when we talk about a break, we talk about, oh my gosh, the pandemic, and I can't do this, I can't do that. One thing that you've always said that I've always kept in my mind is this is the Great Reset. Yes. We're hitting the reset button. We're rebooting the computer. We want to run smoother. We want to flow. We want to find a way to interact with ourselves in a way that's a little kinder, in a way that we are taking care of not just the physical disease, but also the mental disease and the kind of pandemic of fear, negativity, and lack and limitation.
And tapping into our spiritual essence. And some of us are learning that for the first time. And it took a pandemic for us to go within. I got to do a big shout out before we get our guests in and before we start really getting to the show. I think we actually got into the show already. Congratulations, you graduated from the master's program. You graduated, brother.
Oh my gosh, it was wild. You know, one of the things during the pandemic, when all the work gets wiped out, it's like, well, how do I grow? And so there was a great program at Northwestern University in Chicago that they put all online. It was a master's in leadership for creative enterprise. And we just had the graduation this past week in Chicago. It was the first time I had ever stepped foot on campus. It was super surreal, and I meet all of my cohort and, people that are kind of sitting at their computer like this, really down low, you think, or, 4 feet tall. You get up there and you're like, oh my gosh.
And you're
a
meeting
giant.
for the first time.
Yes. And it was like that times 70. So it was just surreal, but beautiful, because it was a really sweet cohort of people that really care about they really care about equity. They really care about inclusion, and it's really a different generation of leaders where that's really the focus.
Yeah. What's your vision? What has God laid on your heart to do with this form of education that you've gone through? Because we can't go through something that's so powerful and not be willing to say, how can I not be of service? So I'm asking you, how are you calling forth the service of God with what you've just gone through?
Well, it's almost you alluded to it earlier, and I want to underline it. This idea of collaboration, of true heartfelt collaboration, that going into a classroom, going into a rehearsal room, going into any kind of artistic enterprise, that there is equitable buy-in. So one of the big things that I learned was coming into a situation and crafting a designed alliance with the people that you're working with. What are things that we're going to honor? What are the values that we are going to connect with that we can always fall back on? And it's not this hierarchy. This is what we're doing. This is how we're going to operate. It's slowing down and saying, where are y'all at? How can we accomplish this together?
I love that. And shout out to Sharon. You are expected. You're expected, Daddy and Mama. Like, is it any minute? So we could be having Sharon in the back going, honey, you got to get off that podcast. It's time to take me to the hospital.
I will say, I've got a work trip coming up, and when I told her about it, she certainly raised her eyebrows.
Of course. you go where? And I'm about to do what?
So we're getting closer. It's supposed to be the end of September. So,
and you know what I tell you? Skip makes a great middle name.
True.
Girl or boy, you can throw a Skip in the middle of that.
I love it.
I love you, my brother. I love you. Welcome. I'm so glad that we get to play together and to do this podcast, a spiritual movement together. So I welcome you into the flow as my co-host. Thank you for saying yes.
Thank you. Yes.
All right, Brother Chad. It is now time for our... That's the sound of Wellness Wake Up with Rev Skip. And today our Wellness Wake Up begins with a yes. Your transformation begins with a yes. So every time that I'm looking to transform my body or my mind, it begins with my willingness to say yes. We always say this at the end of the show, but I'm going to say this at the front of the show. Transformation is a choice, and you can choose today, and you choose by saying yes. So throughout the pandemic, I'm going to be really honest with you. I have not been in my mindful eating practice. I have not been focusing on my plant-based eating, and I've been carrying extra weight, Chad. I'm going to be really honest. I've been carrying that extra weight. I'm calling my COVID-19 around my belly.
Yes, I hear that.
Today, after really jumping into my practice, I've lost 10 pounds. And I am just so grateful to return back to my of eating and working. So your yes for you, what has that been for you throughout this pandemic, this yes of transformation?
Oh my, I think for me, I go back to, the kind of things that you and I talk about surrendering to the goodness, the idea that the presence of the divine is always around us. And it's not as if we have to do some kind of all these kind of ceremonies and do all this efforting in order to connect. It's about surrendering to the connection and saying yes to it. You actually turned me on to a book called Your Sacred Yes that I've been listening to, and it's beautiful. And that's one of the things I keep taking away, that wherever I am, just as Reverend Michaels talks about, it's the spirit, the divine is in your breath. It's closer than your hand, closer than your neck vein, right? It's inside of you. And it's really saying yes to allowing yourself to get still enough to recognize that. And one of the things that, just to jump off of what you're saying, even though we seemingly had more time, let me put it that way, during
because I was busier. I was busier during the pandemic than ever before in my life.
But we still feel that resistance sometimes to just sitting down and just allowing it to happen. And on the other side of that, I'm right now I'm teaching a theater class at the University of Central Arkansas, and the thing that I'm leaving them with after day one was Joseph Campbell, who said, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek." So on the other side of that resistance, on the other side of that fear, that's where the oneness, that's where grace can be found.
Preach, preacher, because you I always say that you are a preacher to you be preaching, brother. I love that. Yes, transformation begins with a yes. How I'm going to ask you, how has it been with your own physical body and doing your yoga, and how's that been for you during the pandemic?
I tell you, it's two things. On one hand, I'm feeling the same thing that you articulated. Like, boy, I just feel softer. I don't feel, in a way that I'm not taking care of some of my physical body. Right. But at the same time, before the pandemic, I mean, it was a 5-day a week. It was, I was, and listen, we're hearing a lot about FDA approval. Boy, I was shoveling in that pre-workout. I was shoveling in that post-workout. I was wearing 200 pounds, but I was feeling good. But like, the act of letting that go has allowed more time for me to be with family, to focus on what's really important. And now I'm at a choice point, right? Of like, all right, I learned a lot from that.
There you go.
And now how am I going to jump into more physical activity in a more mindful way?
Yeah. So folks, if you're looking to transform your body or how you think, I truly believe that the spirit does not need to be transformed. It is perfect whole right where it is. So our work is to align our body and our minds with our spirit. So just say yes. Just say yes. All right, y'all. It is time for our quotable ponder. So our quotable ponder today comes from one of my greatest teachers, and it is the founder of the Church of Religious Science, now known as the Center for Spiritual Living, Ernest Holmes. He has many books out there. He is really an anchoring teacher for all of us in the New Thought movement. So I want to say this quote here, and I love this. Thoughts of lack manifest as limitations. Thought of abundance manifests as success and happiness. Failure and success are but two ends of the same stick. All right, y'all. So just get down with that. It is about how you think. It is about how you see. And if we live in a place of lack, and I always say this, if we pray from a place of lack and limitation, that is what we're going to manifest. If we start our prayers with, I am one in God and I am successful no matter what, that's what we're going to manifest. And so it's not about what you're praying for, it's about where you're praying from. Brother Chad?
Yes. It makes, when we talk about failure, I go back to fear, right? Yeah. And I think about, this idea of having courage is not about a lack of fear. It's about meeting fear where it is. Yes. And so when we think about lack and limitation, this year, just for me personally, I've gotten more rejection letters this year.
But you've had success too. But you've had major success as well.
And I think that's been so eye-opening that one does not necessarily cause the other. We can hang on to our failures. We can hang on to those rejections. Yes. But this year, through the kind of spiritual work that we're doing, being able to let those rejections go and see them truly as guideposts.
Oh, you are
that help you down the path.
You are getting down with to get down today. Yes, absolutely. So, in other words, it is done as you believe. It is done as you think. So today, let's really ponder this quote. I almost said quander this quote. Let's ponder this quote this week, y'all.
Yes.
So, blessing.
Yes.
And I believe that our guest today probably has a lot to say about that, because I've been looking at what she's been doing. You brought Sam to me. So I'm going to have you introduce this very powerful sister that will be joining us now. Who is she? Just bring her in.
I love it. Yes, well, we've got Sam Harrington coming on, and Sam I've known for many years as an artist, as a choreographer, as a yoga teacher to me, as a musician. She grew up in Arkansas, and she says her deep love of movement, the body, breath, and energetics began at a young age during her theater training, and she attributes that all of her teachers during her theater and dance experience have helped pave the way to finding yoga. So her passion is creating ways for people to connect with their most authentic selves through the art and science of yoga. Sam works and is the co-owner of Sixth House Yoga Studio in Little Rock, Arkansas. She's also the leader of a nonprofit called Yoga in the Rock, which is kind of a mobile yoga studio that goes to different parts of the city that allows anybody to come and practice. There's sometimes musical elements to that and artistic elements that I just adore. And she's also the yoga teacher for BridgeWay Behavioral and Mental Health Facility. She says in all she does, her sense of purpose and calling is to be a servant to others and remind people of their own inner power, sensitivity, and resiliency. And I love that last word, resiliency. That's something that we can tap into these days for sure.
Absolutely. So we are just delighted to have our dear friend Sam Harrington in as a guest. Welcome in, Sam. Going in. Hey.
Hey, I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Could not be more thrilled.
I got to tell you, y'all going to laugh at me at this, y'all, because my family's from Alabama. And so I get that y'all sometimes come out. But, when I heard yoga in Arkansas, I was going, what? I'm like, you hear yoga in California, yoga in India, yoga in New York. Okay, yeah. Yoga in Arkansas? I was like, and then I started reading all the things that you're doing. That's pretty amazing. And I always share with my yoga students, dancers never die. We just go off to teach yoga, because I am old school dancer. That's what we do. We don't die. We go to teach yoga. That's what we do.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, it's actually amazing. There is a vast community of yoga teachers and studios here in Arkansas. You would be really shocked. It's pretty packed, especially here in Central Arkansas, in Little Rock and Conway. There's just so much going on here.
Absolutely. And, I'm going to give this question and please jump in there too about, Chad, what is it about yoga that has expanded your consciousness about oneness? What was the thing that brought you to the yoga practice, Sam? And then Chad, I want to have you to talk about that as well.
Sure.
Yeah. So yoga for me, when I really consider about the oneness and connection with other people, it really started with being more connected with myself and seeing that the person in front of me is really just a reflection of what's going on with me, and that we can share this deep connection. Even if I've never met this person before, yoga has really expanded my awareness that it's not just about me, and I'm not the main character of the story, even though sometimes it may seem that way or feel that way, and that other people are having their experiences, that they're living their lives, and they're having their own journey trying to figure out, what am I doing here? What's my purpose? What's going on? And yoga in particular, and the arts too, really has just made me more aware that we're all kind of this thread in a beautiful tapestry. So we all contribute to this glorious universe that we see all around us.
I love that. And if I could jump in, one thing I'd like to ask you, Sam, is, I found when I was really deep into my acting training, into performing arts training, I started to see, as I was getting on my spiritual journey, so many correlations between our work as artists and our work as spiritual beings, as people that are on the path. Things like you're in acting class and they're like, you've got to be in the moment and truly react to your partner. And then you sit down and you're reading Eckhart Tolle or listening to the tapes and he's saying, access the power of now, in his very unique and beautiful voice, And so I wonder, along the way, from your dance training or from any of your acting training, what are some of those corollaries from kind of your early journey that kind of got you on the path?
Well, it's such a great question to ask, because I personally feel that my awareness with all that and my connection to that and finding the correlation really started when I was about 9 years old. And one of my most impactful memories around that time was being in a theater academy during the summer, and one of my teachers doing this body scan energy kind of meditative practice. And at the time, I did not understand the correlation between what we were doing and acting, but I allowed myself to surrender and to trust my teacher, trust the process. And for some reason, it just stuck with me. So there were a lot of those little moments throughout my young years and into my high school and college days where there were just really potent things that happened in the room. There were 8 a.m. movement classes where we would be taught to stand in a single place and extend our energy all the way across the room, right? And at the time, you're like, oh my God, it's 8 a.m. What are we doing? I'm half awake. How is this relevant
I love that.
At all?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you think it's silly in the moment.
Right. I'm going to ask, is this your beginning of your spiritual awakening? And if so, let's go from there and then give us a little journey to your awakening of where you are now. But was this the beginning of that?
I would say it was the little steps that paved the way towards it. I think my spiritual awakening really hit around my college years. I was really struggling with my mental health, and my relationships in my life were really dysfunctional. And I was just at a really low point, rock bottom for, a lot of people who understand that it is a very real place, and it's a very felt, deep sensation that we experience.
I've been rock bottom several times.
Yeah.
I've been rock bottom several times.
Yeah, and just like y'all were talking about the cave and failure and fear, those rock bottom moments can really teach us something, or we can totally succumb to it or completely run away from it. So for me, thankfully, I had some amazing people in my life to lift me up, to help carry me forward on my path, to see me as I was in that moment, as low as I was, and still love me nonetheless. So that rock bottom for me was a place of surrender and trust. And somehow, some way, all these little stepping stones and this rock bottom, this whole path led me to signing up for a yoga teacher training. And it was a month long. We were in Spain. And so I was completely separated from everything that was familiar to me. This was my first time out of the country. It was the first time really being on my own. And so during this time, I found a lot of my self-worth, my inner power, and it really was such a seamless kind of transition into being awakened to my potential and my relationship with everything around me and my role in this world, in this moment. And so just looking back, it's always the looking back, right? You can see how all these moments, all these failures, all the people that you interact with are so crucial to your refining process, and that moment where you come alive and you can't go back. My teacher, Matt Krebs at Circle Yoga Shala, always says, once a carrot's been cooked, can't be uncooked.
Hey, now.
And that's really how I felt.
Hey, Chad, I like that. I'm gonna have to use that in one of my services, man. What you,
Yes.
What you cook a carrot? You cannot cook a carrot, yo. So thank you, Sam.
Yeah,
I love that. I do want to ask you this, Sam, because I've worked with Sam. We've done regional tours from New York all the way to San Antonio, and I've seen Sam sing and act and dance. And one thing that I've always been those are always very impressive attributes she has, but Sam's also an amazing choreographer. So using the body to tell stories, not just her own body, but crafting pictures, crafting blocking for other humans as well. And so every time I see Sam choreograph something, there's always an element that's just so surprising and so fun and so I'm glad I'm not up there because that looks hard. But it looks always so challenging and fun. And I just wonder what is your process, especially now in this part of your life, post yoga teacher training, post having your studio, because I remember you did some work at the Arts Center as a choreographer. And how do you get into that space where you're actually creating in this part of your life?
Well, I think I've always been a visionary of some sort. I see a lot of things in my mind in an intuitive sense. And ever since I was a young kid, I've always loved to create, to manifest whatever's going on in my mind, the kind of the madness that's going on in this artist's brain, and bless all the people that humor me and allow me to choreograph for them, because sometimes it is the task of taking what's in here and also being aware of everybody else's availabilities. I don't really like to say limitations. I want to say availabilities. What is right in front of me? What can I do to set everybody up for success and still challenge and help people grow, and also to tell a story. So now, again, looking back when I was working at the Arts Center, there are so many moments where there were more opportunities to pause and to really assess the people in front of me and not just get caught up in, I want this to happen, make it happen, we'll figure it out, So now, in this stage in my life, dropping into this delicate balance of seeing what's going on in the mind, being able to make it come into reality, but also being very sensitive to people and helping them shine, not just dancing them to death, but really helping them shine and feel like they're having fun and feeling like their hearts just come alive. That's really what my goal is when it comes to choreography.
We want to acknowledge all the comments that are coming through the feed. We're firing up this feed right now, and we're getting your comments. Thank you, Wayne, and thank you, everyone who's been dropping your comments. And we acknowledge you, and we just love that you have the time to come in on this live broadcast here to New Thought Media Network. So, and Marianne, thank you. You've been dropping some incredible comments. This pandemic has been a bear. I'm going to say what it is. It's been a bear. I was saying to my best friend, Bill, we share a house together. And I was saying how this 2020 was probably the most challenging time in my life. And it was very hard on my mentality and what I was thinking, and depression. I experienced a low-grade depression throughout 2020. I was grateful for 21 to come in because it felt like there was a new life that happened. There was a brightness that came into my life. So let's talk about what you do. You use yoga, you use music, and you use your creativity as a form of helping people through mental health, which is such an important part of the work that we're called to do. I would even call it probably your purpose now, greater than being on stage. You're helping other people to find the light in very dark times. Can you speak to mental health and the work that you do and how you're finding a solution through creativity and yoga?
So I think for so many people, the last year and even into this year, even into this season of summertime has been really challenging. And there has been, in my opinion, a mental health crisis going on. And there haven't been available resources for every single person, right? That's always the task, is how do we help everybody, not just people who can afford it, not just those who have access to it immediately in front of them. So I am blessed and lucky enough to be able to teach yoga in a mental health facility. So here in Arkansas, I think we're starting to kind of wake up to how potent and how powerful yoga can be for mental health and emotional wellness. And we're kind of on this just very tip of the iceberg, if you will, of getting started in that. So my work in bringing yoga and even the arts, they don't know that, but I bring the arts into
right. They don't know. Don't tell them though. Don't tell them either. Just sneak it in.
Make it very subtle, you know. Yes. Everything that I've learned, every single thing I've learned in my theater training, dance, I use all of those tools to help people access themselves. When we are in a place of depression or manic episodes or even psychosis, or just not even having all this kind of pent up energy that's really displaced and we don't know where to put it appropriately. My task and my work is helping people have practical means to coming back through all the mess of that, like kind of piercing through it and coming back to what is real, what is presence, and what is my truth. And what's interesting about this kind of work is it's not a one time fixes all. It's not a pill that, you know, makes us feel better within 15, 20 minutes. What yoga therapy and these kind of practices ask us to do is to really figure out what it is we want. Yes. We do what we love and we do what we want to do. And sometimes those things that we love or that we want to do are not what is healthy for us or is not aligned with our truest potential and our truest selves.
You mean that bag of potato chips doesn't help? What do you mean? That sugar cookie doesn't help? I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? There's nothing wrong with that cookie. There is nothing wrong with potato chips, but all in moderation, right? Yes. So the problem becomes when it becomes a crutch or when we're ignoring something much deeper going on. Absolutely. And we all do that. We all, yes. You know, especially right now when everything feels so hard and challenging just because of external things that we really can't control, or at least we cannot change within a day or a month. It's going to take a long time. And just like those things take a long time, we are also always a work in process.
Yes.
And so when we are asked to use yoga for our benefit in a grand scheme, sure, we're going to walk away from a yoga class feeling good. We're going to feel like, oh, you know, I feel good in my body. I feel a little bit lighter. But ultimately, our mind rules the patterning of our body. And doing what we love to do is formed in our tissues. And what's happening in the body is happening and influencing our breath. What's happening in the body and happening in the breath is being influenced and in relationship with our emotions and our thoughts. So all these things work together. So it's not going to be fixed in a day. So asking people to really commit to themselves is a hard ask sometimes. And it's a lifelong journey. Yeah. So I love to be in the room with people trying to figure that out.
There's a couple of things that you said that I love and want to highlight. One of the things that you said earlier is talking about what are people's availabilities. That is a term I'm going to just steal and use forever now, because it's really coming at something from
true.
It is so true. And rather than approaching a situation with leading with the lack or the negative or anything like that, saying, okay, what are our availabilities? What are we able to do today? And so going off of that, thinking about your work at BridgeWay, how Sam has worked with me with Voices Uncaged, and she's performed at Groveland Correctional Facility, and so she knows what it's like to go into rooms with different populations that some people have never encountered. And so I wonder if there's any. I know you can't get into specifics, but I love that you bring people tools to get back to themselves. Mm-hmm. Has there been? Can you just talk about any instance where you've seen people really take on these tools, and what it's done to them mentally and physically?
Yes,
absolutely. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. Actually, it's something I get really fired up about, because walking into a room like at a prison facility or a psychiatric facility is not for the faint of heart. And you never know what you're walking into, ever. And so what I love about that is that I have, every single time I walk into each unit, my first goal is to get people on my team or for them to see that I'm on their team, that I'm on their side. Once we break down that barrier, everything seems to kind of just click. There is an openness and a receptivity for the majority of people in the room. Now, that's not always the case, but there is this magical quality of seeing people's barriers kind of come down. Sometimes it's not available, with medications or detoxing and things like that. But always I leave the room and there's at least one, maybe two, maybe more, but always one person who has a very deep felt experience. The other day, even I had someone he's of the Christian faith. And so here in the South, yoga and kind of the older generations in the Christian kind of fundamentalism seem to have a barrier of some sort. And not without good reason. That's, everybody has resistances and hesitations, and that's just how it goes. So at any rate, this gentleman, after our group session, he was really sharing that, he didn't really participate. He didn't actively engage, but he was listening. And for whatever reason that he wasn't actively engaging, he was digesting the process of what was going on and really taking that in. And so after group, he shared with me that he's of the Christian faith, and that from those 60 minutes alone, he could see that there were so many connections and correlations between breath and spirit, the body and God or source. And, he was just quoting up all these Bible scriptures. And I was just like, yes, that is it. That is it. That is your experience. And that is what matters.
See,
at the end of the day, this body is temporary.
Yeah, Sam, what you're talking about, I love how the one spirit, the one mind works. And we talk about this here at the New Thought Media Network, which is a spiritual ministry. This is a spiritual podcast. And one of the things that we learn in New Thought is that we are not here to say this is the way you want to think or this is the way you want to believe, that all roads leads to God. Everything moves back into, we have come from the same place and moving back to the same place. So here's the thing that, I do another live event early Friday mornings with an Insight Timer. And today we were talking about the life of a mystic. Two things you said here is, and one of the characteristics, and Matthew Fox, if you know Matthew Fox, please go and check out the the coming of the cosmic Christ. He talks about the characteristics of a mystic. One of the characteristics is being with being. And we are willing to be with the being that is suffering and those who are not suffering. We're talking about our willingness to be with the homeless, to be with those who are incarcerated, to be with those who are on the streets, to be with those who are dealing with mental challenges. When you tap into that mystical energy within us, we're willing to be with the being. And the other thing is that there is no monopoly on spirituality. Every path is legitimate.
Right.
So what I want to ask you and to invite you is to do what we call the yes moment. And yes is an acronym here at the In the Flow with Rev Skip, stands for you expressing spirit. Although you've been expressing spirit throughout the whole time, this is the time that Chad and I get to step back and just let you inspire our listeners and our viewers. So everyone, I want to welcome in our dear friend of mine now, Sam Harrington. This is her yes moment.
Wow. Well, thank you for allowing this moment to happen. You know, one of the things that I've found over my time as an artist and now being a yoga teacher is that more than anything that I have found to be fulfilling and finding purpose in my own life is to be of service to others. In every step that I take, in every breath that I breathe, how can I be of service to others? And ultimately that comes back to me. How do I be of service to me? What things do I say yes to? What things do I say no to? In order for us to serve other people, we have to have at least a certain amount of things kind of going on internally that are clicking in some way. There's no such thing as being perfect. And I'm certainly not here to tell everybody to be a yoga robot or anything like that. But there is a certain amount of discipline that comes with freedom and having the availability to feel free within ourselves so that we truly can be of service to others. It requires us to be committed to ourselves. If this is not getting worked on, our body, the temple, and what's residing inside that temple, if we're not paying attention and inquiring as to our motivations, why we feel the way that we feel, the words that we speak, the thoughts that we think, if we are not addressing that in a very real way, and that comes with no judgment towards ourselves, which is so hard to do, or at least being critical of what's going on, and allowing ourselves to be with all the things that come with us, the perceived good, the perceived bad, all of these things can help us tell what is going on and inform us and help us learn more about ourselves. And in doing that, we learn about others, and that is compassion.
Yes.
Compassion is not, just this like, oh, I'm going to go serve at the soup kitchen, which is great. That's awesome. Please do those things. But it starts with you. And if you can get really real about what is going on with you, and sometimes that ultimately means being brutally honest with ourselves, surrendering it all, laying it out as it is, and then just allowing and not interfering all the time.
Yes.
We like to just fix everything, particularly in our culture. We're said to be a certain way or feel a certain way, and we just want to nitpick and fix everything. But that leads us astray from the good work, the things that really are going to lead us to heaven, in a sense. And you can think of that in whatever way that you want to. Paradise, liberation, enlightenment, none of that comes from displacing our feelings, our experiences, and our truths. We have to get really real about those things and get in the murky waters of them if we really, really want to find those beautiful things. We have to
Did
see the
y'all-
dark too.
Yeah, did y'all hear that? She said, get into the murky waters. Whatever the
Yes.
murky waters are for you. Hey, Chad, did you learn something right now? You were learning something today, brother.
It is on my heart. My crown chakra is lighting up.
Right? It's like, bam,
Yes, it's
bam.
beautiful.
Sam
You know, I
Harrington.
think-
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Chad. Go jump in,
I just
please.
want to. I just want to draw this
Yes.
comparison. What you just said to, thinking about just. Over the pandemic, what do we have to do? I watch the grass grow, right? We have some bare patches in my mom's house, and I'm always out there digging and pushing and like, here's some seeds and and it's really as much as I do that, that's really disturbing it. But what you said, get in the murky water, and then you just got to let it go.
Yes.
And you've got to let nature, the divine, to take action.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
but Chad, you got to explain what's a bear patch. What's a bear patch, yo? I'm a city boy, yo. So what's a bear patch? Tell me.
You've got a beautiful green knoll of grass, and then you got this patch that's just dirt, and there's ants, and it's there's like a little blemish. It's like a yard pimple, and you're trying to throw some stuff at it.
But there's not actual. I'm seeing a bear that's in your yard in the middle of the night digging up the bear patch. I'm going, okay, is that what he's talking about?
Oh Lord,
I know, oh Lord.
Oh, that's
funny.
My
goodness. Hey Sam, which I just adore you, and I hope that you're going to come back to this podcast because we had so much fun today. Yes. Where can people find you if they're looking to get in touch with you about yoga, acting, dancing, mental health? Where can people find you?
Yeah, well, I have so much enjoyed this time. I'm so thankful that y'all asked me to be on here. I feel very honored. Thank you so much. Some of my dearest and fondest memories are with Chad. So thank you, Chad, for thinking of me as a guest on this podcast. It means so much. So for those of you out there that want to get in touch with me, you can find me on Instagram at samharrington.yoga. You can email me at sam@sixthhousestudio.com. Or you can go to sixthhousestudio.com or even yogaintherockar.com. You can reach out on all of those places and I will respond. Yeah.
And if you're listening to this podcast, we will make sure that all her links is in the program description and notes. So you'll be able to follow it, click on it, and go and check out Sam Harrington. Brother Chad, I got to tell you, this is far more exciting and so much more fun than I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know us coming together like this was going to be this much fun. Brother, where can people find you? And I don't know if I can wait a whole month for you to come back.
I know. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. But we definitely will have you on next month. But where can people find you, Brother Chad?
Yes, I'm at Chad Bradford1 on Twitter and on Instagram. You can check out Voices Uncaged website at voicesuncaged.org. And also, if you want to check out some of the theater work that we do at Shake on the Lake, that's shakeonthelake.com.
That's good. And I want to say that this has been so inspiring and please check out and be able to donate to each and every organization. We do that here at the New Thought Media Network and myself, and I donate to Chad's work. I'll donate to Sam's work as well. So reach out and be a part of changing the world. And if you want to donate here at the New Thought Media Network, go to ntmedia.org/donate. If you want to support my ministry, Rev Skip Jennings, you can go to PayPal or Venmo, and that is skip@skipjennings.com. Also, follow all the links in the description. You can go to skipjennings.com. You can take me home with you and not cook me breakfast. You can get my new book, which is the Little Book for Big Transformation, 2nd edition. And you can find out when I am doing live events or my guided meditations on Insight Timer Meditation. Sign up for my newsletter, and I promise you we're going to get it going again. I just had a little bit of a lack time on the newsletter, but we're going to get it going again. And I do another podcast for Unity Online Radio which I'm seeing 2 potential guests in the future there on Tuesdays, along with Faith Rivera and Reverend Jackie Fernandez. And that's Unity Online Radio. And that's on Tuesdays. It goes out live, and then we pop it up on a podcast. So find out all the information at skipjennings.com. Chad, do you have any last words about our dear friend or a question that you want to ask Sam before we get off this link?
Well, I'm just so thankful that you could be here, Sam. Like you said, some of my best memories are traveling in a bus down I-40 through the South and all the way under the East Coast with Sam.
Yes.
And so one of the reasons that I wanted her on today is because I've been able to. I'm a few years older than Sam, and so I've been blessed to kind of watch Sam grow through her artistic life and through her spiritual life to become a true leader. And it's been it's been a joy here in town to see her take what she's learned, take all of her gifts, and to really affect people's lives. And I just want to put that out there because there may be folks listening that feel like, hey, what am I doing? Yoga in Arkansas, right?
We love that. So thank you so much.
I was just going to say, she's living proof that you can make it happen. Yeah.
Yes. And thank you so much for introducing me to my new friend. Sam, we love you. And we're sending you lots of blessings in Arkansas. All right, guys, that's us for this week. I'll be back next week with another guest. And as we always say at the end of this podcast, remember, transformation is a choice, and you can choose today. It begins with your yes. Until next time, God bless everybody.
Thanks for joining us on today's episode of In the Flow. If you enjoyed this programming, please help us spread this joy. Be sure and give this video a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. New Thought Media Network can be found on Facebook or our YouTube channel. Additional contributions are greatly appreciated at ntmedia.org/donate or find Rev Skip on PayPal and Venmo. Tune in on Fridays, 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 Mountain, when Rev Skip welcomes a new guest. Until then, faith, love, openness, and willingness keeps us in the flow.